In recent years, the world has become increasingly fill in the blank. However, you choose to fill in the blank, I hope the following story will help you navigate whatever the future may hold. It's called The Village and the Whispered Threat. There once was a peaceful village nestled among quiet hills, where harvests came steady and war was a forgotten word. But one day, a whispered threat drifted through the air. An army was coming, a fierce and merciless army who hungered for their land and took no prisoners. The village gathered to discuss the threat and determine what they should do. Torin, an intense and rigid man, believed they could defeat the army with relentless effort. Greta, a somber woman with a heavy heart, believed the army was too advanced and their village was doomed to fail no matter what. Gideon, a smug and lazy man, dismissed the rumor as a lie. In his mind, no army was coming, and anyone who believed differently was a fool. Mira, a humble woman, wasn't sure what to believe. But she believed in being ready and cast the final vote to build the village's defenses. Spurred by fear and resolve, the villagers got to work sharpening stakes, raising stone walls, and weaving traps throughout the fields. Torin led the efforts with an iron fist. "Work harder or we're all doomed," he'd roar. Even as villagers collapsed from exhaustion, Torin showed no mercy, only shouting more warnings of death. Greta lingered more than she labored. "Their army's too strong," she'd groan. "We're piling stones for our own graves." Her gloom weighed heavily on those around her, and her grumbles echoed louder than her efforts. Gideon refused to help at all. "It's all a lie," he'd sneer. "You gullible nitwits toil for nothing." His snide comments and ridicule were a constant thorn in the villagers' ears. Mira worked steadily, with a bright spirit. She didn't know if the army was real. "Maybe they'll charge or maybe not," she'd say as she hauled timber. Despite her uncertainty, she sang songs while she worked and cracked jokes with her fellow villagers. Many admired Mira's spirit, but others scoffed at her cheer. Torin's harsh cry was fueled by anger. "Stop grinning," he screamed as Mira was stacking stones. "This isn't a festival. It's a matter of life or death." Mira brushed the dirt from her hands and smiled at him. "Fear won't make the walls any stronger, Torin." Greta tried to dim Mira's light with her jaded cynicism. "Keep singing, Mira. Maybe they'll carve lyrics into your tombstone." Mira's smile held firm. "I sing for today, Greta, not for your graves of tomorrow." Gideon tried to cut her down with cruel taunts. "Look at you, Mira, sweating like a mule for a war that isn't coming. Wake up!" Mira set a stake in the ground. "The work makes us stronger, Gideon, whether the army comes or not." The days became weeks, and the weeks became months. No army came. The walls rose higher, and the traps grew more cunning, but the horizon stayed empty. Torin's ferocity never waned. He yelled for harder work, shaming those who didn't match the fever of his fear. Greta grew increasingly bitter, the weight of her impending doom crushing her spirit. Gideon, smug as ever, grew bolder and belittling those who believed such foolish nonsense for so long. Mira spoke little of what might come to be, but every day she worked, she smiled, and she sang, her spirit a beacon of light in the fog of doubt. The months became years, and here 3 possible fates await the village. In the first, the army comes and the village succeeds. Horns blare and steel glints on the hills. The village's defenses, honed over years, hold fast. Walls stand, traps spring, and the invaders flee. Torrin, his chest puffed, booms, "I was right, our work saved us." Greta, sullen, mutters that it was luck more than labor that saved them. Gideon, finally silent, sulks away, his idle life saved by the work he mocked. Mira sings a song of triumph, celebrating their shared victory. In the second fate, the army comes, but the village falls. The walls crumble, the traps fail, and the invaders sweep through just as Greta predicted. Torrin dies cursing, his panic-driven work done in vain. Greta, in her final breath, whispers, "I was right. We never stood a chance." Gideon is slain while fleeing in terror, his smugness silenced by steel. And Mira dies fighting, her final song a roar. In the third fate, no army comes. The village thrives. Its tall walls and clever defenses become a quiet legacy. Torrin dies anxiously, still scanning the horizon for foes. Greta dies bitterly, resentful of all the years of work she loathed so much. Gideon dies with a final gloat. "I was right, you all wasted your lives." Mira dies as she lived, smiling, her last breath a final melody on the breeze. The future is always uncertain, but in this tale, which villager would you choose to be? The one who sowed fear with furious commands and threats? The one whose pessimism dimmed all spirits? The one whose cruel scorn helped no one? Or the one who, claiming no certainty, chose to brighten each day with joy, even among those who lived in misery? Though the villager's fate remains hidden, here we end our tale with a line from one of Mira's songs. Though shadows stretch and storms parade, hearts warmed by today's light do not shiver at tomorrow's shade. Thank you for listening. Until next time, I'm JJ Bitters.